Good morning. Welcome to Up to the Minute. I'm Todd Duplantis, and we are at the HCCTV studios this morning. Good to have you with us on this Tuesday. It is Tasty Tuesday. Got a guest coming up with my co-host joins us later in the show. We want to thank you for those watching us live on Facebook and on YouTube. We are here just about every morning when HCC is in session, live at 10 a.m. You can also catch us in LinkedIn. You can watch us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and you can watch us on our cable channel, HCCTV, at noon, 5 and 10 p.m. Thanks for being here this morning. I have got a very special guest joining me this morning in the studio. Her first time joining us on HCCTV on this show as the Chancellor, Dr. Margaret Ford Fisher. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so very much, Todd. I'm absolutely delighted to be here. You do such a marvelous job.
Well, I appreciate that.
The members of the team. Thank you for inviting me.
You're like a member of the team for us as well. You've been in the studio so many times.
Yes.
Let me ask you a few things. Starting off, last week you were at I believe the Black History Month's luncheon.
Yes.
And you were honored as a trailblazer.
Yes.
And you certainly are a trailblazer.
Well,
tell us a bit about that honor and what it was like to be there in this capacity.
Well, I have to tell you that Black History Committee program was absolutely phenomenal in my estimation from beginning to end. And it was marvelous to be there and to be recognized in such a grand way by the committee and members of the team. And being a trailblazer, as I had mentioned in my remarks that I made, a trailblazer really has to be both courageous and cautious by equal measure. And the intent for a trailblazer is to ensure that you can maintain your eye on the outcomes that you want, but at the same time, creating a pathway for others to follow. That is critically important. And then, of course, being there and then recognizing, quite by surprise, that there was a $25,000 endowment that was set up in my name. I was truly pleased with that. I was so gratified that there would be members of our team who would invest in that way in an endowment, and that there would be not only the foundation, but members from the community who would also support the endowment. So this then leaves that opportunity for others as we build upon that endowment for other trailblazers to come forward. And I tell you, it was so marvelous because I think a number of individuals believe that they have to leave the institution where they are and then come back in order to achieve success, in order to be elevated in the work that they do. And I think I'm a perfect example that you don't have to leave. You do your very best work where you are, and it will be recognized.
You know, it was interesting. You opened with talking about taking chances. I had a boss, you know very well, Dr. Fenna Garza. When I first started, I worked for the Southwest College, and she used to tell me, Todd, don't be afraid to take those chances. You know, be cautious, but you got to take chances. I imagine you subscribe to that. You've done that, imagine, a lot over the first 6 months in your tenure.
I have indeed. But one of the magnificent pieces associated with my tenure over the past 6 months is that we have an outstanding team. The great pleasure and the privilege is that I've worked with so many of the team members who are here and who have been here for years. And of course, there are new additions to the team as well. And we have a great working relationship also. I've been warmly received and welcomed by all of the members of our team. We're working on a number of initiatives that will help to set that trajectory even higher for us in terms of serving our community, serving each other, because I think all of that is critically important. And one of the first messages for me on the first day, September 1st, was that respect and civility, both of those are critically important. And then, of course, you should start looking at the integrity and transparency and all that we do. But I think as we look at all of those virtues, all of those principles that allow us to have a culture where we can work together, we can have that psychological safety, and then we can accomplish the goals that are set for the institution. How can you exceed that when you have your eye on the goal and you know what you're working toward? That, to me, becomes critically important for everyone to embrace as a principle for our culture and our operations.
You mentioned started on September 1st. Remember it very well on that first day. It's been 6 months now. You've achieved a lot in those 6 months, getting things set up. Now, what can you see in the next 6 months?
In the next 6 months, we're moving forward because we have so much of the technology in place now to help the residents of our community. In fact, it's really rather interesting that one of the members of our executive team asked the question, well, we hear your vision, we know what the plans are, and where do you want to take us? Are you going to take us to the moon? And I said, yes, we're going to the moon. We're going to the moon because we recognize the challenges that we have in our community. We also saw many of the challenges that many of the members of our community experienced during the height of COVID. We know what we need to do in order to serve all of the residents of our community, and that is what we're going to do. Whether it's for adult education, whether it's for GED, ESL, continuing education, the credentials of value, whether it's semester credit hour programs, we're going to embrace the community for all of those programs to ensure that as we look at that real world education that we are delivering, that we can create that talent strong Houston and a talent strong Texas. That's what we're focusing on. And I think it's really critically important as well to exercise our ability to serve our community with the technology that we have in place, as I mentioned before. We've opened the digital access centers, 10 locations. We also have the instructional studios, 10 locations. Now, what will that provide for us? It will make us a leader. It will make us a leader primarily because as we look at the forces of change, we know that there are many residents of our community who lack the technology. They lack the competencies required in order to study online. So in the event of another disruption, such as COVID or another pandemic, then what we will be able to see is that we have provided the opportunity at our digital access centers for the residents to come in, to get the wraparound services that they need, to learn how to use the technology. In the event of a disruption, they will have the learning skills, the competencies, and the abilities to be able to study online, or if we need to go back on campus because there are provisions made for that, then they can do that as well. One additional piece associated with that is that we recognize that all of the classes that some of our students want may not be offered at the location that they're going to at the time. So how do we address that? Our students can go to a campus. They obviously want to optimize their time on campus by taking 12 semester credit hours. Well, they can go into the classroom. They can take some of the classes. If some of the classes they need are not available on campus at that time, they can go into the Digital Access Center, and we will have staff there who will assist them in going online to take those classes online so that they can then maximize the use of their time there. With the instructional studios, for example, this is going to be a game changer for us as well, because it will allow all of our faculty members to get the training that is required so that they're not recording their classes in the event of a disruption from their homes, from a studio, perhaps in their homes that not be fully equipped with all of the technologies that we have, but they can go into the instructional studios and learn how to create the learning experiences for their students that will be absolutely engaging. So that is what we're looking at. We're looking at all of the strategic priorities that the board members have set. We're looking at student success, number one. So we're looking at how we're able to ensure that our students not are just recruited, but that we are able to enroll them, retain them, and complete them. We want to make sure that with our alumni affairs office that we've set up, that we provide those opportunities for our students to also connect with former students, completers who have come here and are now successful in their various career fields. Our students can connect with them. We're also looking at the transfer opportunities becoming greater, the placement with jobs becoming greater, because what we are doing is ensuring that with those credentials of value, some of them short-term training programs, that we don't just get students in to take a course or get a certificate in a high demand field, but that we can connect them with employers as well.
Because that's the ultimate end goal.
That's the ultimate end goal, not just for those students who are interested in that career placement opportunity, employment, but it is the end goal, even for all of those students who are going on to a four-year institution. They're doing that because ultimately they want that degree,
Right.
yes, or degrees that will follow that baccalaureate degree, but they also want to get a job at the end of all of that training.
You know, I'm so glad to hear that, you know, during the pandemic, one of the biggest things I think a lot of us learned is the digital divide with our students. And many of our students are doing their homework on their cell phones, using up their data, and HCC was able to answer, you know, here's a laptop, you know, here's a hotspot, trying to get them online. They can continue that in these digital access centers, it sounds like.
They can indeed, they can indeed. And we will have all of the wraparound services, as I mentioned before, including a technology-related staff member who will help the students to learn our learning management system, Canvas or Eagle online, so that they then can pivot in the need that they want, in the event that they need to pivot. I think all of those opportunities are critically important, and we look at that personalized learning as being one of the strategic priorities that we're focusing on. We are looking at that academic integrity and rigor, yes, because we want all of our students who come to us to have all of the competencies and to be able to transfer to a four-year institution, and they will perform just as well or better than those students who began at the university level.
I know you're about to embark after spring break on your listening tours.
Yes.
And we've been working on promoting that for you as well.
Thank you.
Tell us, you mentioned something about pain points, and I was talking to some of our staff, and I said, back when I was in, I worked for Toyota, we talked about pain points for customers.
Yes.
You know, so I imagine this is somewhat the same point. What are the pain points you're talking about when dealing with staff?
When dealing with staff, we want to know about some of the challenges that they're having. We want to know if they are having specific challenges with respect to the technology in serving our students, in terms of the connection and getting through what some might see as a bureaucracy. What is it that they are seeing as being impediments to their ability to do their jobs? We want to open up the opportunities for all of our staff members, our faculty as well, to be innovative. And so with those innovative ideas, we can then improve upon what we do and what we can deliver. We have the Ideas Academy, as you well know, at the West Houston Institute. They're bringing forward great ideas for the institution. I mean, it's really very transformative, the ideas that they're bringing forward. We want to see that in every area. So we want to know, rather than superimposing upon the members of our team what we think might need to be done in an autocratic way, we want to hear from the members of our team about what they are personally experiencing and what they see as opportunities for us to be able to improve upon their delivery, their performance in the roles that they serve in.
Leading by consensus in a way.
Well, yes, indeed.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I mean, we all have to have buy-in support.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think with that vested
That's
interest,
exactly right.
we're able to move our institution much farther ahead because everyone feels that buy-in and that support. You know, I think it's just really rather fascinating. I frequently ask members of the team, did you watch the Super Bowl game? What did you glean from watching the Super Bowl team and the team that won? What did you take away from that? Well, each person, even those who were on the sidelines, they had a specific role to play, and they had to play their part exceptionally well. And so we wanted to make sure that every member of our team recognizes that as well. And then there was another example that was given about the former president, John Kennedy, who went to the Space Center, and he was talking to people about what do they do in their roles. And he saw a janitor, and he went over and asked, well, what is your role here? What are you doing? He said, I'm prepared. You know, we're going to the moon. And this was even the janitor who knew what that vision was, knew where they were headed. And this was even before we were able to land on the moon. That person knew that we're all working and we're doing our best in the roles that we're in to make sure that we can accomplish the end goal.
Dr. Margaret Ford Fisher, our chancellor here at HCC. We appreciate you joining us on the show this morning. We want to get you back on. I know you're very busy, but you're welcome back here. Just come on down anytime you want, and we'll get you on the show.
Well, thank you so very, very much. This time has gone much too quickly because there's so much more to talk about. So I'll take you up on that.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, Benji, it's your turn now. Tasty Tuesday, and you've got a special guest. Take it away.
Yeah, we're moving on now to Anita Jaisinghani. She is the chef and owner of Pondicheri Houston and our Tasty Tuesday guest. Welcome back to the show, Chef Anita.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah, so I've heard good news that you have a cookbook that is out now. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, I would be happy to tell you about it. The book is called Masala, which really just means a spice blend, like the spices as in like black pepper, parsley, olive oil, that's a masala. So it's just a blend that you would cook with it. You can also eat it. And there's a lot about the history of Indian food, my style of cooking, which I think is different than most of Indians' style, and lots of great recipes. And a bit about Ayurveda, which is
And what are some?
holistic science of living.
Okay, and I'll get that to you in a second about that. But tell us about some of those plates that are in there, some of the specifics that people can use for home cooking in
Yeah,
in
so
the
I have a
cookbook.
whole section. I feel like people tend to treat spices like something that sits in your cupboard and you pull it out when you need to use it. But really, spices are something that should be a part of every meal, and not as in cooking Indian food in every meal, but in just using them in all the meals. And I personally start my day with like a pinch of saffron in hot water or a bit of turmeric in hot water, and every meal has a little bit of spice in it. And I've tried to articulate those in the book. Like there's a section here that is, it's all in yellow, this mustard colored pages. And all those pages are the how to use the spices. So yeah, I mean, recipes are great to have because we all need recipes to follow. But more than that, if you understand how to cook and the fundamentals of how to cook, then you don't need a recipe. You can say, okay, well, I can add this to this. I can change things a little to my own liking. So I try to let people use recipes as guides, which is what I do, and then take it from there and make it your own dish, how you want to cook. So a lot about a very practical application of spices.
Awesome, awesome. And I know earlier you were talking about Ayurveda. Can you tell us what that is and explain it, what that is, and how it ties into the food?
Sure. So Ayurveda is a 5,000-year-old science of holistic living, and really it was designed for 5,000 years ago, and things have changed. So there is constantly updating happening in the science of Ayurveda. But essentially, at the core, it is living in balance, living a life of harmony and balance with nature around you, with yourself, and not just eating things that are out of season or out of sync with your body. So following your body's intuition with the intuition of the environment around you on this planet. So really, if we are all balanced, then we feel better. It's a healthier way to live. So it's really about a better way to live. And also, Ayurveda, what I love about it is it talks a lot about preventative habits. So if you build good habits, then you don't get sick, but if you have bad habits and you want to rush to a doctor, pop some pills, go back to your bad habits, well, that doesn't work out in the long run. So you really want to have a style of living. And Ayurveda has a lot of things about it, but you really want to, do as much as you want to do. So you can use tiny parts of it or use a lot of it.
Okay, so I know today you're gonna have a little demo for us about what will you be cooking for us today?
Yeah, so I have a really amazing website that I'd love to talk about. I mean, I love my book and it's out and we've had lots of great sales, but a book is still a finite thing. And I'm one of those people that can write recipes in my sleep faster than you can make coffee. And I can. I mean, that's just a gift I have. And I love doing it. So
of course,
I wanted to have a depository for that. So I started a website about 4 years ago, and we've finally been building it. It's called India1948.com. And India 1948 because India was independent in 1947, and 47 was the fifth year that it became completely independent. So that's what it was based on. And on that, I put a lot of recipes. What I'm doing today is a salad from there. And, Indian food doesn't do a lot of salads. I love salads. So I wanted, I would incorporate a lot of Indian food into like room temperature salads, cold salads, hot salads. So I'm making a salad that is very traditional to South India. It's called the chickpea sundal, and it's made with like, any kind of vegetables you have, tomatoes, garbanzo beans. So I'm going to show you these. Can you see that? These garbanzo beans that I had boiled, and I soaked them last night. I boiled them till they were tender, and then I just I kind of put these spices, this amazing spice called amchur, which is a dried green mango that most people don't know about, but it's kind of life-changing because once you start putting that on everything from your popcorn to like roast chicken, it's amazing. It's just sun-dried dried green.
Wow.
It really is. It's that great. So, and it's also like
Yeah.
adding sourness to a dish without adding lemon juice, which can water things down. So I have the chickpeas over there already ready. Here I have some cabbage that I've cut up. I threw in some lemon juice in this cabbage. And then I have some oil heating up here, which is just olive oil. And I'm going to let that warm up, and I'm going to pop some seeds in there. So the seeds I'm going to pop are mustard seeds, which are also very traditional to South Indian cooking. And again, this salad is so adaptable. So you don't have to like say, well, I got to follow all these things. No. If you learn how to use spices, you can really create your own salads. And I have these leaves here that are called curry leaves. That does not mean it goes in a curry. It just means it's a leaf that is used for, salads, soups, and all kinds of things. So I'm going to basically throw these seeds in this oil when the oil is hot, and the seeds are going to pop. I'm going to test this, and I'll move the frying pan up a second so you can see that. But the seeds are going to pop and sizzle. It really opens up the spices, opens up the flavors of those mustard seeds, and then I will add these lovely tomatoes that are now coming into season. And I'll saute the onions for a bit. I'll add it to the cabbage and the garbanzo beans. I'll add some coconut, some chili powder, and I'll have the salad that I'm going to eat for lunch for sure today. So here I'm going to throw in these mustard seeds. Can you hear that popping? So
Yes, we're hearing that. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just, and that really brings out the flavor, and it's such a tiny step, but it's so interesting how much it changes the flavor. So I'm going to throw in the curry leaves, the coconut. This is just grated coconut. I mean, you can use, dried coconut, you can use frozen coconut. I'm going to let this cook for a minute because the coconut really adds a lot of flavor. I'm kind of pan roasting it. Then I'm going to throw in these lovely tomatoes. And I'm going to put the tomatoes in and let the tomatoes cook I want the tomatoes to soften a little because I want the salad to not have raw tomatoes. Raw tomatoes can be, I don't know, I just feel like I love them when they're slightly cooked. So they're a tiny bit jammy and they're not super hard. And then I'll turn all the into, and then I want to talk about one more thing. Do I have time?
Yeah, we have time. Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a spice here. It's called asafoetida. It's a spice that most people don't know about, but it actually comes from the gum of a tree. And a lot of people in India use this spice. I'm going to throw it, just a little powder, just a tiny pinch. I'm going to throw this in just to give the food a taste of onion and garlic. So there's a sect of Indians called the Jains, and the Jains do not eat garlic or onion because they are, to me, like the ultimate tree huggers. They do not want to eat anything that destroys. Forget eating animals. They're never going to eat animals, but they won't even eat like carrots or onions or garlic because that means you're killing the plant to eat that fruit or vegetable, and they don't want to do that. Yeah. So this is just a tree actually, produces this gum, and they powder it up, add it make it into a spice. So it's really amazing. It gives the flavor of onions and garlic to a dish that doesn't have onions and garlic. Wow. Makes your house smell kind of oniony and garlicky. So a warning there. But I don't mind my house. I smells like onion and garlic all the time. So who cares about that? And I'll just do these a bit. And when they are kind of soft enough for me to say, okay, the tomatoes are softening up, maybe another minute, then I will throw all of this in with the cabbage. I'm going to pour the garbanzo beans into this mixture. I'm going to throw in the chopped cilantro, which is like a must for everything that I do. I love cilantro. And once the tomatoes are ready, I'll throw that in. I'm going to turn the tomatoes off and just let them cool off because in my recipe, I called for them to cool for like about 30 or 40 minutes, but we don't have that much time, and I can still eat it when they'll still be good even though they are hot. And that will be the salad. Oh yeah, ginger. Got the ginger. So I have some ginger here that I'm going to add. And a lot of people don't know this, but you don't actually have to peel ginger. You can just take a whole ginger piece
Yeah.
and chop it up and use it. The peel is edible. Not only is it edible, in India, they say all the flavor of ginger lays just beneath the skin. So don't peel the ginger. So I'm going to add the ginger to this as well. So it's going to be super gingery. And I'll throw this into the
So
salad.
after all of this here, so Chef, I just want to, because we're running over here to like less than a minute here. So after all of this, you basically just throw it all into that salad bowl there and
Yeah,
mix it all up.
that's it. And the salad, you can see that right here. Can you see that? I mean, it can be eaten warm, can be eaten cold, it can be eaten room temp. It doesn't matter. It's good regardless. And I'm going to add some more lemon juice
That's
to
a
it. So that's it. That's the salad. And again, I feel like cooking should be something that you do for yourself. So don't like tomatoes, put something else. Don't like cabbage, put something else. So, change it. I think like garbanzo, if you don't like garbanzo beans, use white beans, use a different bean, use nuts in there. So I'm just a believer
Of
in
course.
to suit yourself and not to suit anybody else.
I will say that is a very beautiful salad. I want to thank you also for being here on the show today, Anita Jaisinghani. She is a chef and owner of Pondicheri Indian Restaurant and our Tasty Tuesday guest here. And we'll have all of your info about your restaurants and every website on our post after the show. So thank you so much for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So now we have some news, events, and announcements. We start off with Talent Engagement Lunch and Learn Fraud Awareness. This webinar will work to help HCC employees fraud knowledge, including defining fraud, explaining why it happens, providing info on ways to reduce fraud risk, and explaining how to report possible fraud activity. This will take place today, Tuesday, March 5th. In about an hour at 11:30, presenter Rodney Nathan, ABC Talent Acquisition and Performance, will be hosting it. And check out our post after the show for more info. Also, we have a Small Business Supplier Expo from HCC Procurement. HCC Small Business Development Program Procurement Operations will host its Supplier Expo, exhibiting promotional products, printing services, IT services, faculty maintenance, medical supplies, prices, and everybody's favorite, some food. So that'll take place today, Tuesday, March 5th, from 2 to 4 p.m. at the 3100 Main Auditorium. Check out our post after the show for more info. Also, as you know, HCC Spring Second Start. Okay, well, today, thank you so much for joining us here at HCC. We kind of run out of time at the end, so thank you so much and have a great day.